Carey Pena. Thank you so much for being with us for our weekly talk show, In the Moment, focused entirely on living your best life in the now. I am here with my co-host, Gelie Akhenblit, who is the founder of Networking Phoenix, and Zenobia Mertel, who is a life and style columnist with InspiredMedia360.com. And in the moment with us today, this lovely lady right here, Camerone Parker, a model, philanthropist, and motivational speaker, and a woman with an incredible story to share.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's so great to have you here. So you're going to be talking about going public with a very private secret, and it had to do with your health.
Yes.
And your story really focuses on how when you come out with a secret and you free yourself, how it can really lead to new heights in life.
Boy, that's an understatement.
Yeah. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive in just a second.
You bet.
Gelie is talking about how to know when it's time to leave your job.
Yeah.
And Gelie, I really love this checklist that you laid out with these 3 major points that if those things are resonating with you, it might be time to make a shift.
Gotta move on.
Z has something super cool today as well, checking out a sport described as a human chess match.
That's right.
And you bring us some incredible pictures and video from that match. And we hear from a woman who found her dream career at age 52. She talks to me about how you should never put an expiration date on yourself. We'll have that interview coming up. Also, our mother and son restaurant reviewers are out on the town, and they are checking out one of the trendiest burger places in the Valley. So you know how Mama Lux, our reviewer, she loves burgers. So she's going to share this with us in just a few minutes. But first, Camerone, you've really lived a lot of your life on the public stage. And when you were first diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, it was a very tough diagnosis for you to get, and then to figure out how to navigate being a public person, a model. You had to hide your diagnosis.
That's exactly right. I was diagnosed actually in January of 1998. Very, very surprised. Yes, I had several symptoms, but I, of course, had every right answer to the doctor's questions when they started asking me, do you have numbness? X, Y, and Z. And I said, well, of course, look at my schedule. Look at where I'm going. I'm on and off airplanes. I'm in and out of weird shoes on the runway. Of course, I'm going to have some of these. And when I was diagnosed, one of the things I'll never forget was looking at my doctor saying, okay, how long am I going to have this? How long do I have to take time off from this? What do I have to take? And, you know, time is money. And he looked at me and he says, no. And he crossed his arms and he looked right at me and he says, you have multiple sclerosis. You're going to have this for the rest of your life from there. And so one of the things that just went through my mind was, oh my gosh, how am I going to work with this as a model? How am I going to pay for this? Because now it's a life-threatening illness that I've just been diagnosed with. There is no cure. There are no 2 MS patients that are alike. We may have a lot of the same symptoms, but a diagnosis like this in the fashion and beauty industry is you've just signed your death warrant.
Emotionally, what was that like for you? How scared were you?
I was extremely scared because working as a model, I was at the height of my game. I literally was all over the place in fashion weeks all over the world. I had 2 billboards out. It was incredible. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to, number one, pay for this? One of my drugs was $65,000 a year. Wow. This is not a cheap disease, and you're going to have this for the rest of your life. So ongoing, how am I going to be able to parlay this? So I sat with my parents and my doctors, and we said, you need every modeling job possible, and you're going to have to keep this a secret.
You kept it a secret for what, a decade?
Yes, a little bit, yeah, almost a decade.
So then take us to that point when you finally made the decision to free yourself and to come forward.
It was, first of all, you have that moment before the magazine is going to drop, and I'll take you just a step further back on that. The writer spent a week with me, so she saw what happens when at the time, that drug therapy that I happened to be on, I lost a day due to flu-like symptoms, high fevers. You lose a day because it's a very, very powerful drug. It's an injection. It's very, very powerful. So she saw that. She saw how painful it was. She saw me cry. And I never wanted my MS symptoms, if I was coming out of remission, to ever be confused with being drunk at a charity event.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people would have been like, oh, she's drunk. No, that's not, that's not going to happen. So I trusted my story with this writer because, number one, I didn't want anybody to feel sorry for myself, but I also wanted just awareness to come out of it, and how I could change the beauty industry by coming out and being proud of your flaws.
So what was that moment like when that article came out?
I have to say, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up drenched in sweat going, what have I done?
Did you feel so vulnerable?
Oh, I've opened up my entire life, including my agent, who had no idea, And what I wasn't prepared for was the onslaught, the ongoing, incredible worldwide support I got with this article.
Well, that's the thing, I think, about when you make yourself vulnerable, and all of the women at this table are strong women, so it's not always easy to be vulnerable, but boy, there's a lot of people out there who want to support you when they see what you're going through a little bit.
And it, I was more than willing to take that chance and say, this is who I am, this is what I've lived with, this is what I had to take care of. I had to take care of, number one, to be alive today.
And I there's so much to your story, but I want to make sure that we're able to share as much as we can with the audience. You had an implosion then of your marriage.
Yes, actually, very quietly, I had separated in 2010, and I wasn't ready to talk about it. Anybody that's going through a divorce or anything, you're kind of in a moment where you're just, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I knew what I was going to do, but my health had actually started rapidly declining, and my MS had reared its ugly head. I was out of remission, and I was going fast, very, very, very fast. And unfortunately, I kept another secret. I became such a good secret keeper with my MS. I kept the separation of my marriage and the implosion of my marriage a big, big secret. And it almost cost me my life. It almost cost me life. In fact, someone was banking on the fact that I was going to die, and his life was going to benefit from the death of my own.
How did you begin to put the pieces together?
Exactly right. How do you survive that? I don't care if you're sick or not. How do you survive that type of horrendous thought? I didn't want to die. That was the number one thing, is I didn't want to die. And so when I went into the hospital, I was in the hospital for a little over 3 months in 2012, and every single day I had to work harder than I never had ever worked in my entire life. And it was getting stronger in mind and spirit, and just whether it was the tiniest of inch, that inch meant life or death with me.
And now, and I think this is such an important story to share, because so many people out there, men or women, may be going through, and when you start to feel things pile up on you, boy, it can be so tough.
It can actually just weigh you down, and you can't see through this darkened storm, and you just have to believe that 1 inch every single day might add a little bit of ray of sun or remove the rain, and you have a cloudy day, and then another day, guess what? The sun is going to come through.
So now, because we only have a little bit of time left in your segment, now tell us about your life.
Well, getting things in order, head, mind, spirit, and heart. 2013, Bert Keeter from Project Runway said, okay, stay healthy. You're going to be the closing model in my show for Fashion Week. Okay. So that was my triumphant return to the runway, which escalated into meeting more and more Project Runway designers and becoming their muse, being their closing model for runway shows for that. I also, in 2015, fell in love.
This was the part of the story I was waiting for, and you're getting married.
I fell in love, exactly, and we're getting married.
Wonderful guy,
wonderful
doctor
man.
here.
He's the best day. He's the best thing of my everyday, and he loves me. I love him, but I don't want to say I found love again, because this is love, and this is support, and it just is. It's not complicated. It just is.
And you are using your story, and this is one of the main reasons that we wanted to invite you here today. You're so giving of yourself, and now you travel and tell this story. And just very quickly, what does that mean to you to be able to share that and help others?
First of all, giving is the best medicine around. It will keep you alive. Whether you give of your time, whether you give of your dollars, it is the best medicine alive. Just point blank. If you want to feel good, give of your time or of yourself. And Robert, my fiance, he also believes in that motto too. So together, we've got a
powerful couple.
Exactly.
You're a great couple. We love having you here today.
Thank you.
You know, and along these lines, I think of living your best life. Gelie's going to thrive now and talk about knowing when it's time to move on. I mean, in some ways, Cameron, you had to know when it was time to move on from a relationship. Gelie, you had a situation where you needed to move on from your job, and it was when you were 27 years old.
Yeah.
Wow.
You had a big job.
Yeah, I did. So this was my second job out of, second job out of college, and I was following my career, and I realized that I'm actually not very employable. I'm a hard worker, but I just couldn't keep the jobs. It wasn't.
You're an
jiving.
entrepreneur.
I'm an entrepreneur. I had no idea I was an entrepreneur, and so. You know, I think all of us want a good quit story, and mine happened by accident, like many great things in life. But my manager had called me into her office, and she said something about putting in more hours, whatever the case was. And it was literally like I couldn't even hear what she was saying. Adrenaline shot through me. I opened up to respond to her. I had no idea what I was going to say, and I said, "Well, then I quit." And she was like, "What?" And I was like, "What?" Like, I had no idea. Like, I wasn't planning on it. And she's like, "Gelie, you know, it's okay. We can take this back. We don't have to tell anyone." And I'm like, no. If I said it, I mean it. Clearly, it's time for me to move on. So, you know, and I've never looked back. It's been 10 years now, and here I am on my own. But, you know, in researching for the segment, you know, because that was an experience to me. I didn't have steps, you know, how do I quit? But there were some great tips on how to know when it is time to move on from a job or, you know, whatever else you might be sucking the soul out of you. And, you know, the first one was that you're day to day, you're unhappy. So, I mean, that's a pretty obvious
It's sad to me
one.
how many people feel that, are unhappy in their work every day.
Yeah, you know, and so if you're unhappy, definitely reevaluate. You know, what's making you happy, what's making you unhappy. You know, I know for me, it felt very toxic walking into that work environment and literally felt like my soul was crying. There were a few other tips. I think the second one was, you know, if you believe that you're meant for something bigger than what you're actually doing. And I can tell you, I was sitting in this glass building on the 23rd floor, and I could see the entire Phoenix. I could see the entire valley. And I felt so trapped. I felt like this whole world is happening, and I'm sitting in this cubicle, and I can see it, but I can't touch it. It wasn't
just for you. And in your notes, you said if you feel that you're made for more exciting things than you are, don't be ashamed of it or hide from it.
Right. And I think a lot of people think, well, who am I to be meant for something better? Like, who am I? Like, and on paper, that was an amazing job, you know. But in reality, it was just not meant for me. And then, you know, the last tip they said is, you know, do you feel that you're actually contributing to the greater good? You know, and that was the other chord that it really struck with me, because I felt like I was wasting my life. Every day I would go in and I would sit in that place for, you know, 6 to 8 hours, whatever it was. And what was I doing? I mean, I was doing tasks and things, but what was I really doing? I felt like I was wasting my life. I was wasting away. And again, even having known all of that, I still didn't have the courage to walk in and say, I quit. But obviously life has a way of pushing us, you know, in the direction we need to go in. And so when that moment happened, you know, I'm just glad that I was able to say I quit.
Well, and I think it's important to say too that, you know, it's not easy for everyone to do that, because there's so many different things you have to look at for your own life, you know, finances and all of these things, responsibilities that each person might have. So what advice do you have so people can look at your checklist and maybe figure out how to navigate that with their own life?
Well, you know, I can tell you that I started networking before I actually quit, and I didn't know what I was doing with my networking, but I was creating a business unbeknownst to me.
You were laying a foundation.
I was laying a foundation, and so my advice to others is that if you have a passion or if there's something else you want to do, get like really involved in it as much as you possibly can. You know, and I find that, you know, people say, I don't have time, I don't have the energy. Believe me, when you're doing something you're passionate about, the passion and energy comes
There are a lot of
you.
hours in the day. You know, I mean, there really are. Like, there's a lot that can be accomplished. Gel, thank you so much. I love those tips. All right, Z, time to vibe. Okay. And Cameron, you never know when you come on this show what you're going to get. And today, Z's taking you fencing.
Yes, on guard. That was the term of the
How did you choose this assignment?
So kids, I think these days are given, you know, kind of what's out there. It's It's the typical baseball, basketball, soccer, dance with children. And there's so much more to life. There's so much, not just in our country, outside of our, our borders. And so I always try to look for different types of things for kids and different interests. Life is short, live big. So fencing has always been something that I've been interested in. First of all, besides the awesome, cool outfit, I mean, it's so fun.
Avant-garde, I'm telling you.
Seriously, avant-garde to avant-garde. It's so pretty and white and clean. So that kind of, caught my eye, I have to say, with the fashion. But it really is a game of strategy, and it's athletic, it's team building. So I went and dug a little deeper. I took my son last night to Fencers Club of Arizona. It's in South Chandler, and let me tell you guys, we have such a treasure here in Arizona. We have 3 fencing clubs. This one in South Chandler, it's a super club, they call it. So world champions come out of there.
Yeah.
It's business, family run by Bill Becker, and full of goodness in there. The kids walked in and just swords everywhere. It's a saber club. There's so much to fencing, and I'm going to write all about it for Z-Live. But there's 3 different types, and your weapon is what the type of fencing that you do. So this one happened to be saber. So there we were. We were in full gear. We got a few tips, and kids can go in there. Summer's coming up. They have some camps coming up. It's the best time, I think, for kids to kind of learn new skills, and why
Get
not?
outside the zone.
Outside of the typical sports that's basically offered all the time.
Well, I was interested too how you said that it's like a human chess match, because there's a lot of thinking and strategy that goes involved in
Yes, it's give and take. It's opportunity and sacrifice,
Yeah.
and they're great lessons just to walk through
And
life.
by the way, you can always catch Zenobia's columns on inspiredmedia360.com. I love that you cover such a cross section.
Yes.
One
Mix
week
it
it's
up.
a facial treatment, it's a fashion, it's fencing, it's
Right.
soccer. Like, no boundaries, which I love
Keep it
about
fresh.
you, Z.
Yes.
And now every week we love to share a bit of my podcast. On Fridays, I sit down and do an interview with someone who has a highly inspirational story to share. And most recently, I sat down with an incredible lady. Her name is Leah Haben Woodford, and she went through such a journey. She had cancer. She had basically to have her entire face reconstructed, and on top of this, she got a divorce. I will tell you guys that she sat down with me and she said now at age 53, she is the happiest she's ever been. She is remarried. She found the love of her life, and she said that she is now living the career of her dreams. Listen.
Especially tough when you don't know who all you can depend on and you feel alone. I would say here's the one message. There's actually several messages, I think. First of all, don't put an expiration date on yourself. I got married at 52. I found love again. 50 isn't fatal. I also found the career of my dreams, and I love what I do. And you can start over. You can start at any time, and don't put an expiration date on yourself, and don't let anybody else do it.
So I want to ask you guys what that means. Don't put an expiration date on yourself. I would think for you, Cameron, that really speaks, because you had this major career, you had to stop, and now you've restarted.
Well, and especially in this career, first of all, you're washed up, you're done by 23, and that's when I got discovered.
Yeah.
And my success came actually after 40, that because of the classic model revolution, and Eileen Ford and Katie Ford were the first to develop the whole classic women's division.
Yeah.
And now it's like, now there's senior and there's gray agency and there's like a bunch of all of
That's
this.
a representative of society.
Oh,
I mean,
exactly. And I still get it where people says, well, of course you can wear that because you're tall and thin. Well, guess what? I'm no longer competing against a 12-year-old for a job.
Yeah.
And you can have a certain look. You can have, yes, I'm your edgy, different girl, but I've embraced that.
Yeah.
And there is no expiration date. And especially with what the podcast is all about.
Yeah.
Every single day, I always live my life this way, is suck the marrow out of life, just don't choke on the bone.
Oh, I love it. It makes that kind of saying even better when you say it with a southern accent.
Yeah, I know.
Fancy.
They so fancy.
By the way, I want to tell you guys that you can go check out my podcast at inspiredmedia360.com. We really are so blessed to sit down with incredible people every week, much like Cameron, who really pour out their heart and soul in hopes of helping others. And now we want to check in with this guy who we all dig so much, Luke Kayyem, and he is out sharing with us Pat's Run. Take a look.
Good luck this season, my man. Best of luck.
All right, this is my 13th year of doing the Pats Run, an incredible organization honoring an amazing hero. This event, to watch it from the first year to this year, from a few thousand people to 25,000, growing every single year. Amazing organization, would never ever miss an event. Proud to be here.
All right, Carey, here we go. 13th annual Pats Run, ASU Stadium. It's my 9th year doing this, and I'm so proud to be a part of this event, especially here with my 10-year-old son, Carey Kayyem. It's an absolutely amazing experience, not only as an American, but an Arizonan, a Phoenician, and as a husband and a father. I absolutely love this event. The energy and the emotion is 100%. Appreciate your service. Pete. What's up? Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, you know it. To me, Pat Tillman's legacy is about honor, respect, and sacrifice. He gave the ultimate sacrifice. Not only did he turn down a cush NFL contract worth millions of dollars, but he sacrificed his own life. Regardless of how it happened, it happened. And because of that, I want to live my life asking, what would Pat do? And when you think like that, you always put other people first. You put your country first. You put the love of others first. And that's a tremendous way to live.
Honestly, Pat's legacy to me, it just represents discipline, just having inner strength, pushing yourself, staying motivated through everything, hard times, good times. Just don't get too high, don't get too low, just keep pushing on.
The opportunity to do this, the freedom to do this, to run on a Saturday and enjoy.
What does it mean? He's awesome. He's amazing. Go USA, veterans, yay. All the support in the world for him.
Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, thanks, guys.
I couldn't be happier for all the people that participated in this in honor of Pat.
Thank you. Standing up and doing the right thing and walking away from everything to do what in his heart was right. The right thing to do and serve his country.
Every day is Sunday. You bring it every day. Rip open your life. Most important, be grateful for 3 important things in your life every morning. Care about them, love them, live them.
It's just fun running. It's the thing I do.
Your dad got mad at you earlier. You okay with it?
Yes.
Is your dad crazy sometimes? Really?
Yes.
I love you.
I love you.
Hey, I'm proud of you. Anything else you want to say?
No.
What are you going to eat after this?
Ethan
Mullins of Mesa.
Love you.
Luke, thank you so much. And of course, Pat's Run is not only about Pat Tillman, but it is to honor all of the men and women who have served and who continue to serve fighting for our country. So thank you to Luke and to all who participated in his interview. Although his interview style is like a little, we call it in the business ambush style.
Yes.
He doesn't ask you, can I
Guerrilla
interview you?
tactics.
He's in your face with the camera, a headgear, and this, and before you know it, you're like, did I just do an interview? It's the best kind of journalism. Now we're going to go out to lunch with Mom. So Each week, David Lux and his Mama Lux, go out and do a restaurant review. And David writes in, by now your viewers must have picked up on Mama Lux's love of burgers, but she had never been to Hop Dottie before. It's quite lovely, he says. We started with the truffle fries, which I highly recommend.
So good.
She had the classic, I had the Greek. Both were yummy, but as you can see from the pictures, you might guess what I'm about to say. All food at a sit-down restaurant should come with sides.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the fast casual concept, he says, but my aesthetic side can't get past how lonely the burger looks on the plate. They have a great logo and clever marketing on the staff's t-shirts. A plea to all restaurateurs, he says, a lonely entree is not your best look, even when it's as delicious as the burgers at Hop Dottie. Good points.
That's such a good point.
He likes the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. They do have a really good concept and brand. Have you been to Hop Dottie?
Yes, it's right down the street from where we live.
Perfect.
It's fantastic.
So you're a girl who'll eat a burger?
Oh,
good.
anytime. I'm a Southerner, okay? Throw it down.
And finally, we want to close out with our Do Good segment. We always like to highlight people who are doing good things in our community. April is National Child Abuse Prevention Month, a very important time to shine the light on some things that are going on to try to help kids who really desperately need help. Child Help, obviously, does so much and has for many, many years, and they continue to do good. I was very honored to join my friends Tiffany Quayle and Abby Traster Leadin on the Child Help Wings Committee, and it is an amazing fashion show and luncheon. Dove Cameron, who's a Disney star, beautiful girl, she came to town. She was the celebrity MC. John Jay, our friend, walked the runway with his beautiful wife and kids. It was really a great show with a lot of athletes, so much community support. And the show ended, he kind of brought down the house with Vice President Dan Quayle and his grandkids, and they walked the runway to Justin Timberlake.
That's
and
so
Mr.
great.
Quayle, I will say, worked that runway. He did such a good job. I'm so proud to say, I was just a small part of this effort, but I'm so proud to say that we raised $190,000 that will go to this Wings division of Child Help. And Zenobia, just very quickly, you are the MC now for the 25 Men Who Think They Can Cook event, which also benefits Child Help.
That's right. It's this weekend. It's Saturday. It should be a really good time. So they're going to have a bunch of local businessmen, philanthropists.
Paul Penzone, the new sheriff, is cooking, right?
That's right. Yeah. Some athletes. They're all going to be cooking up whatever their signature dishes, and then the attendees get to vote and try. It'll be music, fun,
You'll
raising
have a
money.
rundown for us next week.
I sure will. Raising money for a good cause.
Yes, and we'll have information also on inspiredmedia360.com. In closing, it's been so great to have you.
Thank you.
You are just a wonderful lady on all levels. Can you leave the audience with a few words of inspiration?
Absolutely. Make every single day count. It doesn't matter if Robert taught me this amazing saying, and I live my life by it now. Success by the inch is a cinch, by the yard it's hard.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
That's a really good one. Yeah. I love that. I feel like I would get on stage and try to repeat that, and then I'd forget the quote. That would be something that would happen.
It'd be bone marrow.
Right on my hands. Thank you so much, Cameron. And thanks to all of you. We hope that you will join us every week for In the Moment. And please join our growing Inspired Media 360 community. You can go to Inspired Media 360 to subscribe. We are on a mission, folks, to try to bring you stories and content that will help hopefully inspire you and motivate you as much as we can. We're out there doing what we can. So that's going to do it for us. Make sure you go out there and live in the moment. Take care, everyone.